Hello and welcome to this final first look exploring session looking at Dick of Devonshire, Act 5 today. This is our final exploring session. A shorter one than usual because we got through the play really quickly. So this one's quite short. But there will be a bonus video following on from this one where we look at the pamphlet of which the A plot is based on. So you'll look forward to that further down your feed. We have a wonderful set of readers here. Reading today, Macada is muted at present.
Sorry about that. Donald in the English Midlands.
Reading Dick today is
Sarah in The Hague.
reading Teniente is
Aliki in Athens.
reading Gyron is
Simon Nader in Dublin.
reading Buzzano and Gentleman is
Lois in London.
reading Manuell and Eleonora is
Connor in London.
reading Jailer, Medina and Gusman is
Helen in Suffolk.
reading Fernando is
Rachel in Canada.
reading Alquevezzes and Clerk is
It's broken Stratford on Avon.
and reading Henrico is
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm also in Athens, and it's November, and I'm wearing shorts. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm very confused.
and I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions, generally keeping us moving forward. Just note, do check the content warnings. We have got a plot line resolving a sexual assault we looked at in the first session. So do check out details in the show notes for those warnings there. Without further ado, we're going to dive into Act 5, Scene 1, which looks to be a two-hander from the outset. Enter the Teniente and Henrico.
The lords are not yet risen. Let us walk and talk. Were you not better yield to marry her than yield to suffer death? Know you the law?
Law? Yes, the spider's cobweb, out of which great flies break, and in the which the little are hanged. The tarriers snap hands, lime twigs, weavers shuttle in blankets in which fools and wrangling coxcombs are tossed. Do I know it now or not?
If of the rape she accuse you, 'tis in her choice to have you marry her or to have you hanged.
Hanged by any means. Marry her? Had I the king of Spain's 7 kingdoms, Galicia, Navarre, the 2 castles, Leon, Aragon, Valencia, Granada, and Portugal to make up 8, I'd lose them all to be rid of such a piece of flesh.
How? Such a piece of flesh? Why, she has limbs made out of wax.
Then have her to some fair and shew her for money.
Is she not sweet complexioned?
As most ladies are that study painting.
What meat will down your throat when you scorn pheasant, partridge, woodcock, and coney? Would I had such a dish.
Woodcock and coney take to you, my Don Teniente. I'll none, and because you keep such a wondering why my stomach goes against the wench, albeit I might find better talk, considering what ladder I stand upon, I'll tell you, signor, what kind of wife I must have or none.
Pray, let me see her picture.
Draw then this curtain. Give me a wife that's sound of wind and limb, whose teeth can tell her age, whose hand ne'er felt a touch lascivious, whose eyes are balls not tossed by her to any but to me, whose breath stinks not of sweetmeats, whose lips kiss only themselves and mine, whose tongue ne'er lay at the sign of the bell. She must not be a scold, no, nor a fool to be in love with baubles, nor too wise to think I ne'er sail true. But when she steers the rudder, I'd not have her belly a drum such as they weave points on, unless they be tagged with virtue. Nor would I have her white round breasts to sucking bottles to nurse any bastards at them.
I believe you would not.
I would not have her tall, because I love not to dance about a maypole. nor too low, little clocks go seldom true, nor, sir, too fat, slug ships can keep no pace, nor too lean, to read anatomy lectures o'er her carcass, nor would I have my wife exceeding fair, for then she's licorice meat. And it would mad me to see whoremasters' teeth water at her. Red hair by no means, though she would yield money to sell her to some Jew for poison. No, my wife shall be globe terrestrial, moving upon no axle tree but mine, which globe when I turn round, what land soever I touch, my wife is with me, still I'm at home.
And where will you find such a wife on earth?
No, such a wife in the moon for me doth tarry. If none such shine here, I with none will marry.
The lords are come.
I care neither for lords nor ladies.
Enter, thank goodness, the lords as the nobles as before, Fernando, Manuell, Clerk, and Jailer, and various other people as well.
Where are these gentlemen? Send them both to a bar and opposite, face to face. The confrontation may perhaps daunt the offender and draw from him more than he'd utter. You accuse your brother as murderer of your father. Where's the proof?
First call my father's man in.
What's his name?
Buzzano.
Call Buzzano in.
Enter Buzzano.
Here I am, here,
Stand out. Whither go you?
to stand out.
Stand there.
Now, what can he say?
First, my lord, hear me. My brother and I lying in one bed together, and he just under us.
In my flea-bitten, trundled bed.
Peace, sinner.
About midnight I awaking, and this Buzzano too, my brother in his sleep, thus cried out, "Oh, 'twas I that murdered him, this hand that killed him."
Heard you this, sirrah?
As sure as I hear you now.
And you'll be sworn 'twas he that so cried out.
If I were going to be hanged, I'd swear.
Forbear the court.
Exit Buzzano.
All this is but presumption. If this be all the shot you can make against him, your bullets stick in a mud wall. Or if they meet resistance, they back, rebound, and fly in your own face.
I've forgotten to give out Medina, haven't I? Oh well, bring your best forces up, for these are weak ones.
Then here I throw my glove and challenge him to make this good upon him, that at coming home he first told me my father died in France, then after some hours that he was not dead, but that he left him in Lorraine at Nancy, then at Chalon in Burgundy, and lastly he said to Don Fernando he was in Paris.
Fernando? We're all jumping in and out a lot for this one.
He did indeed.
What then?
Then, when in his chamber we were going to bed, he suddenly looked wild, catched me by the hand, and falling on his knees with a pale face and troubled conscience, he confessed he killed him. Nay, he swore he basely murdered him.
What say you to this?
Now he comes close up to you.
He is my murderer, for I am none. So let my innocence guard me. I never speak with a distracted voice, never fell to him on my knee, spake of no father, no murder father. He's alive as I am, and some foul devil stands at the fellow's elbow, jogging him to this mischief. The villain belies me, and on my knees, my lord, I beg that I and my white innocence may tread the path beaten out before us by that man, my brother. Command a case of rapiers to be sent for, and let me meet his daring. I know him valiant, but I am doubly armed, both with a courage fiery as this can be, and with a cause that spits his accusations full in the face.
The combat in this case cannot be granted, and here's the reason. When a man accuses a friend, much more a brother, For a fact so foul as murder, murder of a father, the law leaps straightway to the challenger to take his part, say that he doth accuse should be decrepit, lame and weak, or sickly, the other strong and lusty. Think you a kingdom will hazard so a subject, when the quarrel is for a kingdom's right? If you are so valiant, you must then call the law into the field, but not the man.
I have done. Let Lord proceed.
This cannot serve your turn. Say he does belie you. He stakes against your body his own soul. Say there is no such murder. Yet the law fastens on you. For any man accused for killing of his father may be racked to draw confession from him. Will you confess?
I cannot, must not, will not.
Taylor, take him and prepare him for the rack. We'll see it done here.
You are righteous judges.
Oh, villain, villain, villain.
Exit Manuell with the jailer.
There's the wronged lady.
Stand you stood at the bar. You are now another man, sir. Your scale turns.
Fernando fetches in Eleonora.
Look on the prisoner. Do you know him, lady?
Would I had never cause to say I know him.
Look on the prisoner. Sorry. Of what do you accuse him?
As the murderer, both of my name and honour. In the hurry, when the city, they said, was ready to be taken, I, being betrothed to this young gentleman, my father brought me to his father's house, telling me there dwelt safely. There dwelt villainy, treason, lust, and baseness. For this godless man, the storm being o'er, came in and forced from me the jewel of my virgin honour.
False.
I would not have thee think, thou graceless wretch, she, being contracted to thee, loving thee far more dearly than herself, would wound her virtue so blot her fame and bring a scandal on my house and me, were not the fact most true.
Most false by all that ever man can swear by. We falling out, I told her once I ne'er would marry her, and so she works this mischief.
You here stand charged for ravishing her, and you must marry her, or she may have your life.
Lady, what say you? Which had you rather have, his life or him?
I am not cruel. Pay me by my first bond of marriage, which you'd seal to, and I free you, and shall be with joy run flying to your arms.
Lord,
you?
That's easy enough.
Racks, gibbets, wheels make a sausage of my flesh first. I'll be tied to no man's strumpet.
then you must look to die.
Lady, withdraw.
Well, if I do, somebody shall pack.
Oh, me, unfortunate creature.
Exit Eleonora. Enter Manuell to be racked, jailer and officers.
Don Manuel Gusman, ere you taste the tortures, which you are sure to feel, will you confess this murder of your father?
Pray, give me privacy a little with my brother.
Take it.
Oh, brother, your own conscience knows you wrong me. I'll rather suffer on the gallows tree than thus be torn in pieces. Canst thou see me thus worried amongst hangmen? Dear Henrico, for heaven's sake, for thine own sake, pity me.
Or what says he?
Cunning traitor. In my ear he confesses all again and prays me to speak to you.
Will you openly confess?
No, I cannot, Cantiff. I spake not so. I must not wound my conscience to lay on it a guilt it knows not. I'll not so dishonour my father, nor my ancestors before me, nor my posterity with such an earthquake to shake our noble house.
Give him the law, then.
I'll meet 1,000 deaths first.
Pluck and pluck home, for he's a murderous villain.
Thou worse, a devil.
Rack him.
Oh, stay, for heaven's sake, spread your mercy. I do confess the murder, kill my father.
Take
Take
him
him
off!
off!
Off.
This hand stabbed him.
Where?
Near Saint-Germain's in Paris, in a dark night, and then I fled.
Thine own tongue is thy judge. Take him away. Tomorrow look to die. Send him a confessor.
I'll have a holy care of him.
And exit Manuell, led by the jailer.
Who's now, my lords, the villain?
Enter Eleonora and Buzzano.
Oh, justice, here's a witness of my rape.
Did you see it, sirrah?
See it? No, sir, would I had. But when she was in labor, I heard her cry out, "Help, help!" And the gamble being ended, she came in like a madwoman, ruffled and crumpled, her hair about her ears, and he all unbraced, swearing as if he'd been thrashing. And afterwards he told me, my lords, that he had down-diddled her.
I now am lost indeed, and on my knee beg pardon of that goodness, that pure temple which my base lust profaned, and will make good my wrongs to her by marriage.
What say you, lady?
He spurred my mercy when it flew to him, and accorded him to kiss it. Therefore now I'll have his life.
That life so had redeems thine and thy father's infamy. Justice, my lords.
Cruel creature.
Take him away and lead him to his brother. You both must die next morning.
I deserve it, and so that slave too that betrayed his master.
Why should I not betray my master when he betrayed his mistress?
Get you gone, sirrah.
Exeunt Henrico and Buzzano.
You are dismissed, fair lady. You shall have law. Your ravisher shall die.
Oh, that my life from death could set him free.
Exit Eleonora.
Pray, Don Fernando, follow her and soften her heart to pity the poor gentleman. The crime is not so capital.
I'll do my best.
Exit Fernando. Why? Goodness only knows.
That such a noble Spaniard in Don Pedro should be so cursed in his children.
Enter Buzzano, Don Pedro Gusman, Fernando, and Eleonora.
He's come, my lord. Don Pedro Gusman is still alive. See.
Let us descend to meet a happiness crowns all our expectations.
Whilst I meet, thunder strikes me dead. O poor wronged lady, poison which the villain pours on thy honour runs more into my veins than all the venom he spits at me or at my dear boy, his brother. My lords, your pardon that I am transported with shame and sorrow thus beyond myself, not paying to you my duty.
Oh, you're loved.
Love, Don Pedro.
Conceal yourself a while. Your sons will send for and show them death's face presently.
I'll play a part in it.
Exit Gusman.
Let them be fetched, and speak not of a father.
This shall be done.
Exit Teniente.
Is your compassionate lady yet awake? Remember that the scaffold, hangman, sword, and all the instrument death plays upon are hither called by you. As you may stay them. When at the bar there stood your ravisher, you would have saved him. And then you made your choice to marry him. Will you then kill your husband?
Why did that husband then rather choose death than me to be his bride? Is his life mine? Why then? Because the law makes me his judge, I'll be, like you, not cruel, but reprieve him. My prisoner shall kiss mercy.
You're a good lady.
Lady, until they come, repose yourself.
Exit Eleonora.
How thou was so soon come back? Well, why thus return?
For indeed, enter, thank God, Dick Pipe. And a gentleman with letters.
Our journey to Madrid, the king himself cuts off by these his royal letters, sent upon the wings of speed to all your graces. He lay one night since at your house, my lord, where by your noble wife he had a welcome fitting his greatness and your will.
I am glad of it.
The king, our master, writes here, Englishman, he has lost a subject by you, yet refers himself to us about you.
Again, I stand here to lay my own life down, please his high majesty to take it. For what's lost his fate to fall was fortune de la guerre, and at the feet of his most royal majesty, and at yours, my princely lords and judges. Low as the earth, I throw my wretched self and beg his mercy.
Stand up. That mercy which you ask is signed by our most royal master.
My thanks to heaven, him, and your graces.
King further writes here, though your nation came in thunder hither, yet he holds out to you his enemy, two friendly proffers. Serve him in his dominions, either by sea, land or sea, and thou shalt live upon a golden pension, which a harvest as thou ne'er reaped in England.
His kingly favours swell up in such high leaps above my merit. Could I rear up 1,000 lives, they cannot reach half the way. I'm his, to be his vassal, his galley slave, please you to chain me to the oar. But, with his highness' pardon and your allowance, I beg one boon.
What is it?
That I may once more see my own country chimneys cast out smoke. I owe my life and service to the King of England. Let me pay that bond of my allegiance, and that being paid, there is another obligation, one to a woeful wife and wretched children, made wretched by my misery. I therefore beg, entreat, implore, submissively hold up my hands, to have his kingly pity and yours, to let me go.
Let me in go.
Well, since we cannot win you to our service, we will wean you from your country's love. King, our lord, commands us here to give you 100 pistolets to bear you home.
A royal bounty, which my memory shall never lose, no, nor those noble favours which from the Lady Marquesa Alquevezzes rained plenteously upon me.
What did she to thee?
How did she entertain thee?
Rarely. It is a brave, bounteous, munificent, magnificent Marquesa. The great Turk cannot taste better meat than I have eaten at this lady's table.
So.
And for a lodging, if the curtains about my bed had been cut of sunbeams, I could not lie in a more glorious chamber.
You have something then to speak of our women when you are in England.
This box, with a gold chain in it for my wife and some pretty things for my children, given me by your honoured lady, would else cry out on me. There's a Spanish shirt, richly laced and seamed, her gift too, and whosoever lays a foul hand upon her linen in scorn of her bounty, were as good flay the devil's skin over his ears.
Well said. In England thou wilt drink her health?
Were it a glass as deep to the bottom as a Spanish pike is long, an Englishman shall do it. Her health, and Don John's wife too.
What a guy. Enter jailer.
The prisoners are upon coming.
Stand by, Englishmen.
Yes, A-plot, stand to one side. Enter Teniente, Henrico, Manuell, Pedro Gusman as a friar, and at another door, Eleonora.
Give the lady room there.
Peace.
Your facts are both so foul, your hated lives cannot be too soon shortened. Therefore, these lords hold it not fit to lend your breath till morning, but now to cut you off.
The stroke is welcome.
Stroke is welcome.
Shall I prepare you?
Save your pains, good father.
We have already cast upon our accounts and sent, we hope, our debts up to heaven.
Our sorrows and our sighs fly after them.
Then your confession of the murder stands, as yourself did set it down?
It does. But on my knees I beg this marginal note may stick upon that paper, that no guilt but fears of tortures frightened me to take that horrid sin upon me. I am as innocent and free as the stars from plotting treason against their first mover.
I was then in France when of your father's murder the report did fill all Paris.
Such a reverend habit should not give harbour to such black a falsehood.
'Tis black, and of my dying, for 'twas I to cheat my brother of my father's lands laid this most hellish plot.
3 hellish sins, robbery, rape, and murder.
I'm guilty of all 3. His soul's as white and clear from murder as this holy man from killing me.
No, no, there's a thing about me shall strike thee into dust, and make thy tongue with trembling to proclaim thyself a villain, more than yet hast done. See, 'tis my eye.
Oh, I am confounded.
Henrico falls.
But I, comforted with the most heavenly apparition of my dear honoured father.
Take thou comfort by 2 more apparitions of a father and a lost daughter, yet here found for thee.
Oh, noble sir, I pray forgive my brother. See, sir, I do, and with my hand reach to him my heart to give him a new life.
Rise, my Henrico.
Rise and receive a noble-minded wife worth troops of other women.
Shame leaves me speechless.
Get their tongue again, and pray and mend.
Letters shall forthwith fly unto Madrid to tell the king the stories of 2 brothers, worthy the courtier's reading. Lovers, take hands, highmen and gentle fairies strew your way. Our sessions turn into a bridal day.
Very well,
Englishman.
I will ring pails of prayers of you all, my lords and noble dons.
Do so, if thou hast just cause. Howsoever, when thy swift ship cuts through the curled main, dance to see England, yet speak well of Spain.
I shall. Where must I leave my pistoles?
Follow me.
And they exit, and Dick, in that final moment, having picked up his guns, shoots Enrico dead, and everybody cheers. Is how it should end. Okay, we have had this plot line many a time. That's the end of the play, by the way, just to make it clear for the listeners at home. They just exit all happy that Enrico's fine and marries the person. Again, we've had this plot line so many times, and it never gets any better, and this one was particularly egregiously awful. I really, my job here is usually to be, the best defense of something and try and find the best face of it. But we start off with Enrico just being a total git for 5 minutes, just being horrifically unpleasant. In a scene where I'm just going, what's this for? And then we have this trial scene, which is interesting. There are some interesting facets to this. I'm quite interested about the logic of the way the law works in this context. I think that law has been this constant thing, and the fact that Macada spends a lot of this time going, well, legally I can't do that. I'm just going to have to torture this guy because we can't do the other thing. We don't have a mechanism in law to do that. So torture it is, and we get someone racked on stage. I mean, it's inferred. There's no stage direction. He could have just been led towards the rack and just went, no. But I think we can infer that there's supposed to be a grisly torture scene occurred there for someone who's totally innocent, and after being horribly tortured and made to confess that he murdered his father, and his father turns out to be alive, they go, oh, we'll just forgive the other guy. It's fine. It's fine. None of this is fine. Unless this is satirical to say, look at those guys over there. Look how awful they are. Yeah. So, we like Dick, though. Dick was fine. Wasn't Dick great? He went off on his mission, came back. Everyone loves him. Everyone always loves Dick. There are no stakes with Dick at all. You just know he's going to come through, and everyone's going to just shower him with love. So yeah. Do we have anything new to say about this play since last time? We finished Act 4, and we kind of went, we hate this plot and we like this plot. That's pretty much where we left it. Simon, and then other people.
The only thing I can think of, it's like a Punchinello show where there's just a lot of random stuff and people banging things and then going crazy, and then there's stuff, and then it all goes. It's I did not enjoy that at all, that last bit. It was like, this is the reason why studios do cuts of director's cuts, because that was everything that they thought was brilliant or smushed together and then needs to be logically sorted into something else. That I am none the wiser. I am none the wiser why any of that plot happened.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a very serious play about that plot line, and if you resolved it in a different way, you could use a lot of this. There is something there that I think is quite. We were just I said last time. There's some psychology here that really makes sense and really works, unpleasant though it is.
Yeah.
But then it's welded, well, and then it ends appallingly. But it's also welded to this other play, and it's just like, what? Aliki, then Lois.
I mean, I think the thing that gets me the most is that there's absolutely no reason for that plot line to have happened in terms of a story. Normally, you get a thing happens and then another thing happens, and because of this thing, something else happens, and the world is changed at the end. Nothing has changed. We've just gone full circle to exactly where we were before. Loving brothers, a young couple about to get married, happy dad. And given what Henrico's done in the meantime, it just makes you want to hurt somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean him. I mean, it just when Eleonora says kill him, we go yeah, and then she goes, oh no, it's what? Where? I'm going to go with the inverse of what Simon said. I feel like a studio executive came in and said, "No, we need a happy ending, mate. We need a happy ending. Just wrap it up. Just wrap it up." Lois, then Greg, then Eric.
Yeah, it's particularly Enrico's psychology. There doesn't seem to be any there. I mean, he's a sort of non-entity at the beginning, and then suddenly he gets the idea that the circumstances are suitable for raping somebody, and the fact that it's his fiancée, whom he could be marrying in a few days anyway, doesn't seem to enter his head. Then he is appallingly rude to her. Then he says he wouldn't marry her for £1 million, and he'd rather die. I mean, the whole situation is absolutely crazy. It just seems to be designed to produce the sort of ending we get. First the maximum suspense, and then the entry of his father. And there can't be any real suspense. The audience knows perfectly well that his father's alive. It's completely bonkers. And I still can't make out why on earth Manuell couldn't remember where he last saw his father.
Yeah, there's so many details there of just why is any of this happening? And it's just, yeah. Greg, then Eric.
I think it's probably already said, but normally at least somewhere along the line, the B plot and the A plot could meet. I was half expecting Dick to come in and suddenly be the long lost cousin that remembered who everybody was and recognised the dad or something, but just some mad way of linking the two plots. But Dick just came in and kind of nicely wrapped up his plot. And I'm just going, yeah, I'm bored. That was one of the worst last scenes I think I've ever read.
Well, it is the fact that it's not even thematically connected. We have got plays where the A and the B plot don't quite match or don't really intersect, but there is something thematically connected going on here. There is no thematic connection between his plot and the other plot. I mean, if the Henrico plot ended with a combat, then I could just about maybe sort of swing it in the sense that he's the doughty fighter and we had a combat with him, and then we have this evil dude and he gets horribly crushed in fight. But that doesn't happen. It's offered. It's like, oh, this could be interesting. And no, we don't do the interesting thing. That would be terrible. Eric, and then Connor, then Simon.
Yeah, I think if you were going to stage it, you would have to have like sort of at the moment where the dad comes in, someone else coming in as a sort of director or studio exec and going, wait, no, we need a happy ending, and then actually giving the happy ending, whatever. But then getting the audience to choose. That would be a way of doing it.
We've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah. But I mean, this is very common with plays of this period as well. It's like that thing of like, having sort of like the London Prodigal. He didn't want to get married. He was like utterly horrible to his wife, utterly horrible to everybody. And then still, oh, I repent, marry me, whatever. Oh, I'm stuck with you. Great, wonderful. Oh, yay. Because the whole repentance thing, like, there's no even level of surprise here. Like, oh, I am confounded. He has like one line of surprise, and that's it. It just,
yeah. Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was missing yesterday and coming into today, I thought it was like this serious kind of dark tragedy from the first scene, which I quite liked actually, Act 5, Scene 1. And then it turned into a pantomime. It's like, I'm like, what's going on? Very strict. It's like very different kind of from what I'd seen on Tuesday to how it is today.
Yes, it's basically you've got two plays. You've got a rollicking adventure with Dick, and then you've got this other thing that's sort of a tragedy, but it's not properly worked out to actually function that way, and nobody dies in that plot line. Oddly enough, the rollicking fun plot line is the one where actually people die. So that's confusing. Simon, then Lois, then Alan, and then I'm thinking to wrap up.
Thank you. Yeah, it just occurs to me that I think that the distinct lack of morality probably reflects very badly yet very accurately on our good friend Dick. It's even things that are to do with legal issues, punishments, and crimes. There seems to be no moral judgment, and not in the worst ways of our morality play friends, but just for me a just distinct lack of accountability in all of it. And I don't know why, because obviously if you don't have anything, you as an audience, I don't think can feel sympathy or empathy towards anyone in this. There's just no overriding sense of right and wrong. I find I just find it very, very poorly thought through. So that was my last point, and I'll shut up now.
Lois, then Alan.
Okay, well, there are a couple of things. One is that, there's potentially something really comic about Dick's talking about how all these women were so nice to him as their husbands are saying, oh, really? Nothing really comes of that. But the other thing is that there is a perfectly good way of ending this and bringing the two plays together, which is of course, that Dick wanders in and says, oh, what is all this anyway? Why are all these people so upset? And then he hears the account of it and says, oh, well, I'll fight Henrico then. And of
That's
course,
what I sort of expected. Greg was saying earlier. It's sort of where we feel this should be going.
Yeah. And then he beats him down, and then everybody says, "Hooray! Isn't Dick wonderful?" And Enrico is killed, and then oh well, yeah, Dick's already married, so he can't marry Eleonora, but I'm sure somebody can think about marrying her. Yeah, except that nobody will now.
Manuel, obviously.
Yeah, the younger brother.
Good brother.
Well, he couldn't possibly now, could he? After his brother has already raped her. I mean, that would be some kind of crime, I think.
But if Enrique or sorry, I can't remember the character's name. If the horrible one were dead, then the brother could marry the.
Well, it's a bit fiddly on that one. I think there are objections. I think you could get a dispensation on it. Yeah, I think that would be a bit tricky. Alan, then Eric.
I think, quite honestly, if you just excised all of the Gusman material, you take about a third of the wordage out of the play, and you'd end up with something that maybe runs 90 minutes as a romp.
I think this
scenes.
Yeah, this is the conclusion we came to at the end of the last session. Of basically, there is a good fun Dick play here, and we're about to look at the pamphlet it's based on to see if there's any more material we might be able to mine and do something a bit strange with it. And so I'm quite confident that play's fine. I'm thinking potentially, considering the number of plays that deal with the themes of the B plot, that some of that material might be usable elsewhere in some fashion, just better than dealt with here. Because there are some scenes are really good, and Buzzano is a really interesting comedy character, and some of that stuff that just came in there was really quite interesting. Actually, the way that he flip flops and is used, which I think would make more sense in performance. Actually, I think it's a little underwritten, but I think that's because he's a clown part, and therefore there's a bit more going on there that has potential. But again, yoked to a plot line that nobody really wants to do at the moment. So, Eric.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, we've talked about how much we don't like this ending, but what I find interesting is that it's so easy to be not forsworn, but what's the word? Sort of condemned, because Manuel does go, I confessed under threats of torture, which is basically something that a lot of people would have done back then. And I imagine, like, even nowadays, though torture is illegal, I imagine that if you can't prove something and you end up in prison, then you're kind of fucked. So it could be, I mean, like, it could be still relevant and quite interesting to do, just not in this format, and certainly not with this ending.
That said, the little dialogue between the two merchants, I will probably do as a separate podcast at some point. I'd never stage it in a play, but as an interesting aside, to look at attitudes towards Spanish-English relations, that from the first session was quite interesting. And I say we'll make a nice little random podcast episode, if not a drama. So any new final thoughts anyone wants to throw in? We're pretty much dancing around the same ones at the moment. We've got a pretty clear line on a potential performance of this and a potential unperformance of this. If that is all for the room, I'm going to call it time. Eric has something. Is it new? Is it new, Eric?
Well, it's just like, because we haven't I mentioned this off the air before, before we were recording. So it's like, there is a mention of the spider and the fly, which is like this enormous jazz thing that, I mean, you would call it jazz, I think, by John Haywood, maybe, I think.
The quote that it's John Haywood's Jazz Odyssey is actually Professor Greg Walker's
okay.
quotation.
It's still accurate.
But it is also a proverbial turn of phrase, so I don't know whether it's necessarily riffing directly on Haywood there. It might be.
Yeah, certainly interesting. Like the whole cobweb thing about like how only small flies hang. So. Like, basically, if you can't afford to pay your way out, you're kind of
that is kind of a standard thing. I mean, in Webster, you get the law to him is like a foul black cobweb to a spider. I mean, I think that's the sort of thing.
Right. Well, I think we've had enough of this particular spider for now. Though, of course, I'm sure we're still crying out for more Dick. All that remains to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Make sausages of my flesh.